afternoon and welcome to Midday Live. My name is Wendy Lai. Coming up this afternoon, traders count their losses a day after fire guards 15 shops at the Dome markets. Meanwhile, MCE for Gai suspects a case of arson. Over 400 residents of Kaiser Flats in the Tema metropolis to be evicted by Tema Development Corporation. In business, government announces plans to build a new oil refinery at Takoradi within the next 3 to 4 years. On the firing front, Kenyan government's shutdown of 3 largest private channels has been suspended by court pending full hearing. We have details of these stories and many more coming up shortly. In our very first story this afternoon, 15 shops at Dome Market have been gutted by fire Wednesday evening. One person who was also injured in the process of fighting the fire.
The officers from the Ghana National Fire Service say they received a call about the fire outbreak at about 7:42 Wednesday evening and rushed to the scene. It was a busy scene as tens of residents and shop owners thronged the scene to help put off the fire and salvage their wares. Their efforts yielded little result. Some residents who helped extinguish the fire got injured in the process. 15 containers, including the cosmetics, eggs and clothing shops, were completely lost to the fire. Fire service personnel present attempted to bring the situation under control, but this was after residents scooped water on the floor to extinguish flames in some affected areas. The cause of the fire is yet to be established. The Accra Regional Deputy Chief Fire Officer, Ebenezer Simpson, expressed difficulty extinguishing the fire.
The people in the neighborhood were obstructing effective firefighting. Then again, the containers, you see, people think of burglary than safety. One container, you can count as much as about 6 or 7 padlocks. There's fire inside. So we have to take time and break each of the 7 padlocks. Meanwhile, the fire will not be waiting for it.
Now to another trending story. And occupants of some blocks at Kaiser Flats and Tema Community 4 have been ordered by the Tema Development Corporation TDC to evict by today, Thursday, February 1, or be evicted.
The structures to be demolished have been declared uninhabitable due to serious structural defects. The demolition exercise has resulted in a long-standing battle between the TDC and the occupants, who have resolved to resist the move. The order follows a Tema High Court judgment on October 28, 2013 in favor of TDC to obtain a writ of possession to remove the occupants of Block 407, 408, 410 and 415 to make way for redevelopment. The Greater Accra NADMO coordinator, Archibald Kobina, described the area as disaster-prone.
We shouldn't be a nation where we wait for disaster to happen and then we all say, "Ow, wow, sorry, hey," and show remorse and all of that and begin to run and see what can be done here and there. It's essential that we do all in our power to protect their lives and their properties for their own sake and for the sake of the nation.
A government spokesperson on infrastructure, Rachel Asante-Yeboah, said government would not wait for a disaster to occur before it takes action.
Looking at this particular structure, this example, the whole basement is literally collapsed. The building is literally sinking. So if you allow people to inhabit in this facility, I don't think that we'll wake up one day seeing all these people dying and what will you say to ourselves, expressing condolences. I'm not sure that is enough.
Speaking off camera, occupants of the flats remained uncertain about their fate as they claimed they have nowhere to go.
So staying on this story and joining me via phone this afternoon is Isaac Lumati, spokesperson of the affected persons living in the floods. Hello Isaac, thanks for agreeing to speak with us.
Hello.
Isaac, thanks for agreeing to speak with us.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
And now, how long have you been living there and how did you gain tenancy there?
Yeah, I've been living here for the past 51 years. I was born and bred here, so I was staying here with my parents.
And how did your parents get tenancy there?
Yes, my parents, I'm left here with my family.
Isaac, I didn't hear you clearly. The question I asked is, how did you gain tenancy there?
Yeah, and I'm saying I was staying here with my parents, and they passed on, and then from there I gained tenancy.
So how did you do that? That's the question I'm asking. Because some of the concerns that have come up is that most of the people living there are squatters.
Yes, we are not squatters. That's what I'm saying. In reference to me, I was staying here with my parents since 1966. I've been living here with my parents. And my parents passed on, and I'm left here. So that's how come I gained the tenancy.
And who do you pay your rent to?
Rent. Formerly, we were paying to TDC, and then TDC decided that we shouldn't pay the rent again because they are coming for the flat.
But they're coming for the flat, and some of the reasons they gave is that the building is disaster prone. Are you aware of this? And how long has this been? When was the last time you paid rent to CDC?
The last time we paid rent to TDC is in 1989.
So since 1989, yes, which is over 20 years, over 25 years or more, you haven't paid rent there.
Yes.
And now TDC is asking you people to leave the facility because it's disaster prone.
Yes. We are not saying we don't want to leave. All that we are asking for is or was for them to relocate us. Because if you say we should live here, then where are we going?
Now, if you haven't paid rent for more than 27 years, where do you expect the TDC to take you to? Because you stopped paying rent to the TDC. We didn't tell TDC we don't want to pay rent. They said the building is getting weaker, so we shouldn't pay rent. It's two different things. If we decided... How different is it? And don't you think that it's too risky for you to live there? If they haven't collected rent for more than 20 years, you still expect the TDC to relocate you? Madam, Wendy, if I go to pay rent and you say you are going to receive my rent, my money, what do you expect me to do? Now, the question is that TDC stopped taking rents from you for more than 20 years. And now they've come back to tell you that the facility is disaster prone. And you're asking TDC to relocate you? Yes. Because how does that work? Because from day one, if they had taken steps to relocate us, we wouldn't be here talking in 2018 about the same issue. Because it started in 1980, I think the whole thing started in 1982. And then they left it. And then they came again in 1989. That from 1989, they asked us to stop paying rent because the thing is getting weaker. Because we were forcing them to come and renovate the flat. That's how come they say, okay, they don't have money to renovate it, so we should stop paying rent. So if they don't move you, you won't move out? Is that the case? Oh, we went to court and we lost the case. So everybody has moved out. All right. Thank you so much. Isaac Lumati, he is a spokesperson for the affected persons living in that very flat. You're still watching Midday Live. And government of Ghana is under pressure to dedicate 10% of its annual budgetary allocation for the agricultural sector annually. The allocation is to get Ghana to double up efforts towards achieving the declaration which is signed onto.
The Malabo Declaration is the first Pan-African framework signed by African heads of state in 2015, putting agriculture on the front line of development. It focuses on ending hunger and halving poverty in member African countries through inclusive agriculture by 2025. However, 10 years after, a results framework designed to monitor the implementation pillars and level of commitment to the declaration shows that Ghana is lagging behind. A consultant, John Nene Osamazu, assessed the first report's biennial review, which has been submitted to the 2018 African Heads of State Summit.
Every 2 years, heads of state must come with a report to show how the country is faring in terms of agriculture. This year's reports show that we are not very compliant, but we have identified the various areas where we have to put our strength.
The declaration requires African leaders to commit 10% of the member country's budgetary allocation to ensure the success. But experts say not much has been done.
Ghana has been one of those countries that has been putting quite a lot of money into agriculture, but there's still quite a way to go.
A Deputy Minister for Agriculture, Sagri Bambangi, hinted budgetary allocations for the agriculture sector has been scaled up for the 2018 fiscal year.
We have stepped up the group of agriculture to more than 3.6%. And if you look at this year, 2018, what we are going to put into agriculture in the 2018 budget, if you compare that to the 2017 allocation, then you realize that we would even have a higher growth.
Stakeholders noted not much can be achieved without peasant farmers' involvement.
Smallholder farmers are driving agriculture in this country. And we believe very much that if you have to transform agriculture, you need to transform the smallholder agriculture first and foremost.
They are the huge part of the production base. So for a long time to come, family farms, small-scale growers are going to be the bedrock of the production systems and the provision of food for our country. You can't marginalize them, because if you do, we are in danger of going back several years in terms of ensuring our food and nutrition security.
You're still watching Media Live. To some more stories, and Ghana is battling new leprosy cases after it attained the elimination target of 1 per 10,000 of the population in 2000, with the Upper West being the most endemic. The country is also recording cases in other neglected tropical diseases.
Neglected tropical diseases affect over 1.4 billion people worldwide. In Ghana, the diseases threaten all 10 regions, with an estimated 25 million people at risk of contracting one or more of these diseases. Proportionally, persons living in extreme poverty and remote rural and urban slums are at higher risk. Health officials say the Upper West region is the most vulnerable.
We know where the, in quote, hyper-endemic places are, the places where we are getting most cases. Wa, for a long time, has been our one district that had not crossed the elimination target.
Onchocerciasis, or river blindness, elephantiasis, bilharzia, intestinal worms are some of the 17 neglected tropical diseases. Although Ghana is making strides in eliminating and eradicating these diseases, lack of awareness, unsafe health practices, and limited access to safe water and sanitation continue to threaten control of the diseases. ANASVAD, an organization committed to the right to health of the most impoverished people, is stepping in to help fight these diseases. ANASVAD's intervention is focusing on eradicating Buruli ulcer, yaws, and leprosy, which affect millions of people globally.
We're going to achieve WHO goals for these diseases, which is control in terms of Buruli ulcer, elimination of leprosy, and elimination first of yaws, and after the eradication in global terms. So one of the main features of the project is the early detection.
Launching the control, elimination and eradication of skin-related neglected tropical diseases in Ghana, the director of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Anthony Nsia Asari, said Ghana will meet the timeline.
An exhibit has come to support us of a grant for 2 years of 5.8 million euros. We shall be eradicating Yor's leprosy and borreliosa by the year 2020. We want to achieve this in even earlier than 2020.
Still on healthcare, the Western region is without an ambulance after losing the last one to a road accident last week. Let's go on the phone line and speak with Simons Yusuf Kira. He is the head of public relations at the National Ambulance Service. Thanks for your time and good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Now, how has the absence of an ambulance affected healthcare delivery in that very region?
Thank you. Good afternoon to you and your listeners for giving, and we also thank you for this opportunity granting us to explain the state of ambulance in the Western region. Ambulance in the Western region as at now is not something to write home about. But notwithstanding all this, we still have about 3 ambulances currently working in the ambulance service. We have, in the Western region, we have a Tuabo gas plant. We have one there. We have Wasa Akropong also working. It just went there yesterday. And we also have Bogoso, which will be working by tomorrow. So in all, we have 3 working in the Western region.
So it means that
okay, go ahead.
It means that these are temporary measures that you have put in place.
They are not temporal measures. They are ambulances that are working there. You know, as I've been explaining, ambulance is a vehicle, and definitely as a vehicle, one day it will develop a fault and we need to service it. So these ambulances were out of commission for servicing, and we returned them yesterday. So it's not a temporary service. There are permanent stations with ambulances in the areas that I mentioned. The Atobo gas plant is what we have deployed it there because of the gas extraction that is going on there, so that it will serve, in case of any emergency, it will serve the plant and the environment that is working. So that is the purpose of the ambulance there.
Are there measures to put in place to ensure that the one that got destroyed is replaced?
Yes, a team of national ambulance from the headquarters went there on Monday, including myself. I was there with my deputy CEO in the person of Dr. Anda Nakoli and our head of operations, Mr. Bridjan, and our special operations man. We were all in the Western region there. We had a meeting with all stakeholders, police, GBLA, and then we went to Axim, where the ambulance is coming from. We met the municipal chief executive office, municipal chief executive of the Axim, Zanzibar East. We met him, we all the Jojo, and we came out with a plan. So we have assured them by next week or next 2 weeks we'll be able to replace them with some ambulance. Although the ambulance may not be good as what they want, but we are also planning to get them a very good ambulance, an ambulance, so that it will be able to serve them, because now all eyes will be there and the people will be eager to get ambulance. You know, the Axim ambulance station serves a very stretch of distance from up to Sefi area, and then some parts of Discoff. You know, the case they took was from Discoff Hospital to Fiankwantan. So we are making sure that we replace the ambulance as soon as possible.
Thank you so much for your time. I have been speaking with Simons Yusuf Kira. He's the head of public relations at the ambulance service. It's still Midday Live, and the birth certificate is one of the most relevant documents which confirms one's nationality. It is also a basic requirement when one applies for a passport, driver's license, voter's ID, and the national identification card. In the following report, Catherine Frimpoma highlights the difficulty in acquiring this highly sought-after document.
Acquiring a birth certificate is free at birth and 20 cedis after 1 year. But the frustrations associated with the processes force many to resort to several means. Martha is one of the many people who have been swindled in the process.
Adama will say, Yamana, Sana won't me and say, fine. You want to come a bitch me now. Who want to miss credit? Mr. Can make me flow. Ade Sebastian, and ya, and Kayam Baha, and Kayabako before.
She needs a birth certificate for her son, who is applying to be enlisted into the police service. The woman who assured her she would process the document has refused to show up, and for 3 days she has been visiting the office.
I know
a staff who introduced me to her because I needed it urgently, but she has just refused to see me after taking 100 cedis from me.
Martha is not the only victim. Many others here have similar stories.
The guy told me that it's 150 Ghana, but I said that I'll give him 120, but I gave him 100 Ghana that when he brings the set.
You got here, have you asked how much it costs?
Actually, I didn't ask, but I was discussing with one of the men, and he told me that what they take here is 60 Ghana.
Majority of the people here were on phone calling people who never existed. They are Goro men and women who have taken huge sums of money from applicants with a promise of providing for them birth certificates within 2 days. But calling them upon reaching here, it's one story or the other. Some have waited for days.
I know that you're bahasi. You're better now. More light now. Also, light now. Oh, off.
Yesterday we were told their lights went off, so we left and came back this morning.
Seeking answers from officials on what has accounted for the pressure in getting a birth certificate was difficult. The director declined speaking to us, saying the local government minister has addressed the issues in Parliament. Officials here have refused to speak on camera, but information gathered indicates that one is expected to pay just 20 cedis to apply for a new birth certificate, and given the required document, it shouldn't take more than 10 working days for the document to be ready. But the reality is, none of the people here paid 20 cedis. In fact, some paid as much as 1,200, depending on your region.
Now Christmas and holidays, kakra women do say after holidays and I will be juma.
Why ne
Mammy was friend Auntie Christie or Jimmy 1,002. My receipt.
I paid 1,200 cedis, but I'm yet to receive it.
Some people blamed the situation on poor service delivery.
Sahanum ye national headquarters na say plant any are not even a generator. I
can't believe the national headquarters is without a generator.
How to relate with human being cran? It seems as a Yahoo Nechibi and a yeba. And you be so and came Mammy be wa call as a Rasta lady say Mammy China. A small catcher row, inti Yanko police. Na day, Namsi Mijano, winning the Amede Quaye.
The birth certificate is one of the most relevant documents which confirms one's nationality and the basic requirement when one applies for a passport, driver's license, voter's ID and the national identification card, making it a highly sought-after document. The Goro boys phenomenon has matured to Goro men and women, but can the applicants be blamed? The extortion is becoming murkier and fast spreading from acquiring a passport, a driver's license to birth certificates. There is an urgent need to stop this canker before it permeates healthcare delivery. Catherine Frimpoma, TV3, Accra.
Now let's head to Parliament, where tempers flared up in the House during discussion on the private security persons who have been recruited for the House. Some minority MPs insisted the identity of the private security personnel must be made known, suspecting them to be members of the NPP Invisible Forces.
According to the minority MPs, some private security persons were spotted in the public gallery of Parliament on Saturday during the swearing-in of the Speaker as acting president. They inquired but did not get concrete answers. They added there was an explanation to that effect by the Marshal at a joint caucus meeting on Tuesday, but added the explanation was not satisfactory.
I don't have any way of knowing what they discussed. But I expect that if they take decisions that affect me as a member of Parliament regarding my security, I should know. I should know. Mr. Speaker, it is also not unusual in this country, in the era in which we are, where certain individuals have arrogated to themselves the right to protect other people. If there is a joint caucus meeting at which there was a briefing, I can accept it, I can reject the briefing. I'm not bound by a briefing that was offered at a joint caucus meeting. It is not a decision of this House. It's not a decision of this House. And my right to speak on that matter cannot be curtailed simply because there was a joint caucus meeting at which a briefing is offered. What I said was that I'm not aware of the process of recruitment because it's not for me to look into what the Marshal is doing. That is what I said at the meeting. And I will suggest strongly that the minority that cannot say that is not aware of the decision that was taken by the court. Because we are both there. Parliament cannot be made to go on any wild goose chase. I think Parliament should be serious with itself. I still don't know the identity of those people. The information provided by how do you call it? By Marshal, for me, it is counting until I, as a member of Parliament, I see the list of those people, their name and their pictures, for me to be satisfied that they are not from a certain group of people who would rather come and make me more insecure. Parliamentary service is not under Parliament. It is an independent body set up by law to provide services to Parliament. And parliamentary service is headed by the clerk. When parliamentary service is doing recruitment, they don't have to report to Parliament. You know how the clerks came here? Those are the committee. Did they publish their names to us? Let's not use partisan considerations to embarrass the institution that we are part of. But the most critical thing for me is not raising issues with matters you don't understand with Parliament, but going to discuss them as if something untoward is happening. You have the opportunity to speak if you wish to, but the rules are that when Mr. Speaker is speaking, you keep quiet. This issue itself, the rumor is not a problem. It's a mongering, because after the rumor, yes, there's lack of information. There's no decision to be taken. And that's why it was called as a joint caucus, so that some information will be given to members. And so I think that should have been the end of it, and that members could have gone further if they had any doubts with the information that was given by the Marshal, to ask for further clarification.
Let's go back to our earlier story, which has to do with the Dom Market fire, where 15 shops were razed down and gutted by fire Wednesday evening. One person was also injured in the process of fighting the fire. And I do have Janet Tulasi Mensa. She is the MCA for Ga West. Good afternoon, ma'am, and thanks for your time.
Good afternoon.
Ga East, and thanks for joining us. Now, this is the third market fire in 3 years, and we're taught to have heard that you mentioned that this you're suspecting this to be a case of arson. Is that can you confirm that?
Yes.
Why so?
I gathered that it was a woman who went there to do that.
And have you reported the matter to the police for investigations to start?
Yes, please.
So tell us, since you have been around the area, what have you gathered so far this morning? What is happening, and the affected persons there as we speak?
As we speak, everybody is calm there. They are devastated. I think they are waiting for the report that will come out from the technical people, that's the NADMO, police, and the fire service.
Now, let's go back to the case of arson, which you're suspecting. When exactly did you lodge a complaint to the police, and what did you tell them?
That was last night. I did it early this morning around 1, 2 a.m. because we spent the whole night there. Actually, we went there yesterday to have a program. We had a dual program there. We started the pavement of the place in phases. That was the phase 1, and we were selling the Gamma household toilet. That was the place that we would get more people to listen to us. So we chose the dummy market. And then after the program, we told them the pavement is one for safety, and then beautification too is also key. So those women sitting outside and selling, it is nearer the street. Last year we nearly had a fatal accident there. So we asked them to go back into their shops inside the market. And there's just one person who started demarcating the place for 1,500 for them to stay. After we finished with the program, she asked them to come back to the same place that we asked them not to. And I've not seen anywhere that an individual could own a marketplace.
So this very lady in question, where exactly is she now?
Now I'm having an emergency meeting with my staff, so I'm not at the scene now. I went there this morning. So when I got there, she was there.
All right.
Yes. The police, I think, has invited them.
And what measures are being put in place in terms of security at the market?
As I speak, my guards are there, the police is there, and NADMO is there, fire service is also there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I've been speaking with Janet Tulasi-Mensah. She is the MCA for Ga East. You're still watching Midday Live. We'll bring you some more updates on that story in our subsequent bulletins. Let's sustain. It's time for business, and the National Petroleum Authority says it will withdraw all cylinders in Ghana as part of the cylinder recirculation module. In the wake of gas explosions, President Akufo-Addo, on the advice of cabinets, directed the recirculation of liquefied petroleum gas LPG distribution. The NPA, at a downstream colloquium, says it is bent on implementing this policy.
The Chief Executive Officer of the MP, Asan Tampoli, justified the decision to withdraw all cylinders.
We intend to roll out the second phase of the LPG refueling plant safety risk assessment. Currently, a total of 657 stations have been inspected using the criteria developed for the first phase, of which 59 stations remain closed due to non-compliance with safety standards. This phase will lead to decommissioning of high-risk stations and subsequent conversion into cylinder distribution centers under the new LPG cylinder redistribution mechanism. Low-risk stations will be considered autogas refueling points only.
the policy stipulates that consumers will no longer own cylinders. The cylinder will be procured, owned and branded by the LPG marketing companies, according to the MPA. The recall is suspected to happen at the last quarter of this year. Hassan Tampoli noted the team overseeing the implementation of the model is embarking on several working visits across the country to learn best practices. The deadline for the implementation of the cylinder recirculation model is January 2019.
Government has justified an ambitious plan to build a new oil refinery to replace the Tema oil refinery within the next 3 to 4 years. Energy Minister Boakye Agyarko says the new facility should increase the supply of refined petroleum products in the country.
This announcement comes days after the Institute of Energy Security warned of some impact on fuel supply should government fail to resolve the operational challenges at Tor.
We've sent out the various teams to look at all the other hubs that operate in the world. Rotterdam, Singapore, Malaysia. The team came back 2-3 days ago to study and understand how it is done properly, to see who we can partner with efficiently. The question you have to ask yourself is that for a $4 billion investment into the new plant of Tor, should government be the sole equity owner? Should government invest $4 billion in an oil refinery for the domestic market?
Currently, Tor is able to refine crude up to 20,000 barrels of oil daily. Projections are that this should increase by about 7 times to 150,000 barrels of oil with a new refinery. The new facility is estimated at $4 billion. Meanwhile, concerns have emerged by industry watchers on recent happenings at the oil refinery. Tor, at the beginning of 2018, procured crude oil and refined into their storage facility but had to shut down thereafter. The IES concerns, among others, had to do with leadership challenges at the refinery, which it argues has contributed to the inability to sustain operations.
The challenge with Tor is also a management problem. That's one of the challenges with Tor. It's a management problem. Not a management problem in the sense that they cannot handle the work, but management problem in the terms of vindictiveness, factionalism, and all that kind of thing. It would not work. We have to stop that.
Energy Minister Boakye Agyarko spoke at the sidelines of the Downstream Petroleum Colloquium by the National Petroleum Authority. The Energy Minister further disclosed plans to review the current laws governing the downstream sector. The move will, among others, focus on strategic stock management, increased access, and improved quality of petroleum products.
And let's go back to our earlier story where I mentioned that government is yet to decide on whether or not to lift the ban on small-scale mining.
For the past 10 months, government has placed a ban on illegal mining activities in the country. Initially, the ban was supposed to have lasted for 6 months, but then it was extended, and the small-scale miners were promised that the ban was going to be lifted finally by the end of January this year, and that was just yesterday. It's 1st February, and then we are still expecting to hear whether the ban will be lifted or not. I have with me here a Deputy Minister for Land and Natural Resources, Barbara Otin-Jesse. She is actually in charge of mines, and she will be explaining to us what the roadmap really is. Thank you very much and welcome to TV3.
Thank you.
Now, we're expecting to hear the Ministry of Government lift the ban on small-scale mining yesterday. So what has been happening so far?
We saw some improvement, we made some progress, but by the end of the 6-month period, we had not achieved the objective that we had set for ourselves. We initiated a project, which is the multi-sectoral mining integrated project, which is a 5-year project, which we believe that effectively implemented will bring and will eradicate the illegalities in our small-scale mining sector. That project is yet to be launched. Hopefully, by the end of next week, the president himself is going to launch the project. And the various components in that project, when implemented, is what we are looking at, sanitizing the small-scale mining sector. So we have made some progress, but we haven't reached the point where everything is in place for the ban to be lifted.
So what exactly is government expecting to see with regards to the nature of water bodies before the ban is lifted?
I think clearing up of our water bodies is a process. It will not happen overnight because we all know the state in which the water bodies are. But the fact is to monitor them such that no activity takes place on the water bodies, because nobody grants a license for mining in the water bodies. So that is a complete illegality. That is why we say we are also going to deploy technology such as the drones to monitor the water bodies, to ensure that even once the ban is lifted, nobody goes back to mine in our water bodies. And then under the MMIP project, we have a component where we will look at the silting of water bodies to enable an improvement in the water bodies. For instance, like land degradation, restoring the lands. We have done a pilot project in Chebi to see how that can be done, and we have put in place a committee. That's on pilot basis. We can have another pilot regarding the desilting of the water bodies. But all these activities are components under the MMIP project, and we are now going to launch the project and start implementation. So nothing has started yet. What we have done was to put in place the ban to halt activities so that we can put in place this project and effect it and ensure that once everybody goes back to work, we are in a sanitized system. We have also put in place the district small-scale mining committees, and then we are also going to audit all the companies in the small-scale mining sector. All the companies are going to be audited, and once that is done, and we look at...
We'll bring you some more of that interview in a subsequent bulletins. Let's go for entertainment now.
Entertainment news is brought to you by...
The news is that the Accra Central District Court has discharged Lawrence Nana Isiama Hansen, aka Bulldog, over the alleged murder of Fenwick Ochre. The late Fenwick was the manager of the rapper Kwao Kese. The court, presided over by Walanyo Akutu, said the prosecution has been conspicuously absent in the matter. The court also held the complainants had also been absent. Prosecution not here, complainants not here. At the last hearing dates, prosecution has been conspicuously absent, and I have no option than to discharge you, Mr. Akutu noted. The Attorney General had over the weeks failed to make an appearance in the case. The AG had advised that Bulldog, who also doubles as manager of Bull House Entertainment, be discharged to enable further investigation into the 3-year case. And it's some other news on the entertainment front, and fans of Shatta Wale have been sharing their views on the signing of their favorite artist meaning to them.
I was very happy, and I don't know how to aspire, because it's good to see Shatta Wale on Zara. We know Zara 4 Media too, they are big men. So I hope this through Zara 4 side, Shatta is going to take the BET award. Yeah, I believe.
Anything Shatta movement touches turns to gold. You know, we're huge. Talking about the rivalry, Beam Nation, well, it's now a family. So we are also watching out for anybody who would like to beef Shatta. But if you are coming, make sure you have money.
our king have suffered so much to get to this level. It's not easy, you know. Big ups to Nana Pia and Ensan. We thank you for doing this a great thing for us, you know. And it's going to be mad. What we are expecting is like, you know, we'll be featuring international artists and whatever, and you know, we'll go far to the international level. That's what we are expecting from, you know, the xylophone media.
Well, I'm expecting big thing. I mean, a great thing to happen. Right now, we want to conquer Africa.
Right, so still, this is the unveiling ceremony of Shatta Wale onto the xylophone platform, and I want to find out you are a fan. We've seen you spot your SM T-shirt, and you must be excited at this thing.
Oh yeah, really, I'm really excited because sign Shatta Wale. You know how big xylophone media is in Ghana here. Shatta Wale is double big like xylophone media. So if you've been able to sign Shatta Wale, then Shatta Wale is going to sell you, you know. Shatta Wale internationally, you don't know, I'm confused, you don't know. You don't know that I'm confused.
And those are Shatta Wale fans. You're still watching Midday Live, and let's do international news now.
The top Democrat on the U.S. House Intelligence Committee has accused Republicans of tampering with a memo about FBI spying at the 2016 election. Adam Schiff said Republicans have changed the text after it was voted on. The secret document was passed by the Republican-dominated committee but needs approval from President Donald Trump to be made public. The Kenyan government shutdown of the 3 largest private TV channels has been suspended by the High Court pending a full hearing. The channels were shut down as they planned to broadcast opposition leader Raila Odinga's unofficial inauguration in Nairobi. Mr. Odinga lost last year's election, and his swearing-in was widely seen as a publicity stunt. Theresa May has indicated she will fight a proposal to give residency rights to EU citizens during the transition period after Brexit. She said there had to be a difference between those arriving after the UK leaves and those who came before. She also sought to reassure Tory MPs worried about the length of transition. The European Parliament's Brexit lead responded by telling The Guardian citizens' rights during the transition is not negotiable. He said that for the transition to work, there could not be 2 sets of rights for EU citizens.
On that note, we end Midday Live. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Wendy Lai. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Do have a lovely afternoon.